Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to review a 2019 BMW M850i.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and normally we're doing supercar stuff, so we've got DIY videos, talk about the experience of owning a supercar, and sometimes we even do car reviews. I figure the 850i is actually a pretty incredible car, almost supercar caliber, so let's talk about this car, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's a pretty amazing vehicle. So I'm here in Chino Hills at Fred's house. He's one of my viewers. He's been a long-time fan of the show. This is actually his wife's car, so Fred has a wonderful Ferrari 458 that we've been playing with the last few days. He's like, you know what? You have to try driving the 850. It's absolutely incredible. We're going to give it a spin here in a moment. I'm going to tell you my thoughts about it. So the 850 has a lot of the traditional BMW styling. They've kind of gotten more aggressive over years. If you notice, this actually has some active aero in the front grille. So these are little vents that do open or close when you're at different speeds. It's got a 4.4 liter turbocharged engine producing 523 horsepower and over 550 foot-pounds of torque. And what's crazy is that torque comes in at only 1400 RPMs and sticks with it all the way until 4400 RPMs. The downside is, of course, this car is heavy. This is a big car, a lot of luxury options. Isn't exactly light, especially since we got the convertible roof. So this car weighs over 4,400 pounds. But even with all that weight, that torque and that horsepower can get this thing scooting at 0 to 60 somewhere in the 3.3 to 3.7 range. It's certainly a very fast car and very, very powerful, which is pretty badass. It's a massive BMW M Series brakes. Of course, they're only steel rotors, but that's fine for a daily driver. You probably don't need carbon brakes on a daily car. Also, it does come with some pretty large wheels. These are 20-inch wheels. The rear calipers are actually pretty tiny, so not a whole lot of braking power is coming from the rear. Obviously, it's mostly coming from the front. It's pretty typical for most kind of daily driving cars. We've got the electronic trunk, so when you open it, you just click the button and it does the rest for you. Oh yes, magic. Magic. What sucks is because we have the convertible roof, not exactly a whole lot of space. You can, I believe, move this around, and that allows you to put in more stuff, but then you're not allowed to retract the roof. And of course, when you want to close the roof, you do have a button. So you will not be using your arms to move the trunk. It's automatic. This car does have the xDrive system, which is BMW's four-wheel drive systems. That means it's, of course, a little bit heavier, and it's going to be obviously a little bit more traction, easier to get off the line. Oh yes, the Carbon Core editions. I have to say, Fred and his wife did an amazing job at speccing out the interior of this thing. Red with black looks incredible. This is actually, believe it or not, a 4-seat car. I'm not sure exactly how to get back here. There's, oh, like, there you go. I got a little strappy thing. Oh, and look, it's moving for me. You're not going to fit any sort of real human beings back here. Maybe some kids if you chop off their legs. Not exactly a lot of room. You're going to have to scooch the seat pretty far forward if you actually want to do that. And of course, right now we've got the air diffuser up for the convertible top, so you'd want to remove that if you want any sort of comfort. This has BMW's latest and greatest in infotainment, which is actually pretty good, I have to say. You've got controls down here to manage all your infotainment stuff. The AC controls right here. It's all laid out very logical, although there are quite a few buttons. I don't know why they have to have all these different numbers. I guess they want to have different presets and stuff. When everything's all buttoned up like this, it looks pretty nice. You got this cool kind of metal grating. I don't know exactly how to describe it. It looks cool, and it's got a kind of cool feeling to it. We've got all sorts of modern stuff, like a touch screen right here, so if you wanted to listen to radio and all that stuff, pretty logical. I've never used this before, and so it's got a lot of cool, fun stuff to play with if you want to mess around with the different controls. Come on, give me sport. There we go. Yeah, you can see how much horsepower and torque we're playing with. Energy flow. Oh yeah, it shows the four-wheel drive system. It's a pretty neat system. I have to say, I'm usually impressed with BMW's ability to make reasonably logical and easy to work with systems. We've got a bunch of controls to manage that system over here. You've got a scrolling wheel, and obviously can set up your phone and other features. Of course, then we have cruise control on the left side, and we even have a heated steering wheel, so that's pretty awesome. It does have flappy paddles, although this is actually an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. The dashboard is very modern, totally digital, has some pretty cool stuff. You can obviously customize it, setting it up how you like. Nice and colorful and well laid out and logical. All right, so let's hear this thing start up. It's got a good exhaust now. It's pretty awesome. Another really cool feature that BMW has is their cameras. So they have something like 20 cameras on this car. It's absolutely insane how they set it up. So we've got the rear camera right there. We can turn on the parking mode. So we've got parking sensors, and you can see it actually shows the little aerial view of the car, which is really cool. Hold on, let me shut the door. And now you can see there's the full view, as if we had like a little magical drone flying above us, giving us the bird's eye view of the doors and where they would open and where the car is. When you turn the steering wheel, you can see it actually changes the direction of the arrows to let you know where you're backing up. So this system right here is really impressive. I think BMW's totally got that figured out. It's one of the best I've seen, and they've had this for a while, but every time I see it, I'm just impressed. It's a really cool system. My lovely assistant Fred is going to open up the top for us so we can see how that action operates. Ooh, ah. Ooh, it's like magic. It's actually really quiet. I couldn't even hear it. So once the top's down on this thing, it actually looks pretty decent, although I have to say that is quite a large roof. So when you have a 4-seater with a convertible, that's a lot of roof to be moving around. My concern would be that it probably allows the car to flex quite a bit, especially being this heavy. We shall see once we get it out on the road. Driven a whopping like 16 feet. Oh. Okay, it's got some pretty good burble. I have it in Sport Plus mode, so it's obviously letting it rev up in the RPMs pretty high before we actually shift. Here's the thing about a lot of these luxury cars that I don't like, is the steering wheels are really light. So they clearly have it more designed for comfort than sport, which I understand. That's really what this car is meant to be. It's meant to be a very comfortable Grand Tourer. It's not meant to be like this ultra competitive sports car. So they have the steering set up so that you wouldn't get fatigued, which you're not. I mean, the steering wheel is very light. It's actually very comfortable though. It's got a nice thick grip. The material is really nice. And these seats are extremely comfortable. By the way, we do have heated and cooled seats, so your ass will be at optimum temperature no matter what conditions are outside. Yeah, the handling's good. I mean, it's a weighty car. You know, 4,400 pounds. You're talking 1,000 more pounds at least than the 458. But I mean, it feels like it actually kind of tops it around a little bit. Close the roof while moving? Yeah. Oh, really? Still moving, and the roof is closing. That's kind of handy. Okay. It says it's okay. So we're okay now. I don't think you guys could hear me as well right there with the roof open. So we're going to drive around with the windows closed and the roof closed for a little bit. Now that it's boxed up, it's actually really quiet in here. You can have a totally pleasant conversation. We can talk about how much this car cost and the wonderful things about that. All right, here we go. Oh, that's really cool. So now that I'm kind of playing, the steering did tighten up quite a bit. Oh wow. So Sport Plus mode is really aggressive. It's keeping it in lower gear and allowing me to stay high in the revs. Oh yeah, it even downshifting nicely for me. How does it handle these curves? Pretty nicely. Okay, this is a fun car. I'm enjoying this more than you probably should in a 4,000 pound car. Wow, that is so much torque. It's fantastic, and you don't really feel the turbo lag. I mean, it takes a moment for it to kick in, but it's not bad at all. You know, the brake's really solid. I'm you know, kind of goosing it a bit here in these canyon roads, and oh wow, it corners wonderfully. I mean, it's a BMW. It's designed to go on the Autobahn. It's designed to go on some fun roads, and it sure feels it. I dig this car. This is fantastic. Like the handling's excellent for such a large car. All right, so now we've played. Let's go to comfort.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it's like a whisper. We whisked through the air. I think daily driving, they've got these engines tuned pretty well to actually get some sort of reasonable mileage. Not as much fun when you're in comfort mode, but for daily driving purposes, going to get the groceries or whatever, it's totally pleasant, drives smoothly, you know, there's no driver's fatigue, it's comfortable as hell, and it's quiet, so you can have a real conversation and enjoy the drive. One thing that's really cool about this car is it does have rear wheel steering. So I just did a U-turn on a side road so we could, you know, keep filming some stuff, and it was able to turn around in a pretty small distance, which is impressive considering this is not exactly a small car. However, I do have one complaint, which is the forward visibility is pretty good. It's not excellent. I would say it's good, but the hood is so long that your perception of where the front of this car is very difficult to actually understand. Side visibility is pretty decent. It's obviously a lot better when the roof is down, but with the roof up, it's pretty good. I mean, overall, it's just an excellent touring car. It's doing exactly what this thing was designed to do. This was designed to be a Grand Tour. It is a Grand Touring car. It is comfortable, yet still powerful and sporty. Kudos to BMW, they did a really good job. Somewhere in about the $130,000 price point, plus or minus, you know, some money depending on options. Obviously, convertibles are gonna cost you more. Is it worth that much money to have this powerful a car that's really comfortable? It's certainly a pretty excellent car. I'm having a hard time finding much to complain about, really. I'm sure if I drove it for like a week straight, you'd have some more complaints, but you'd probably also have some more praises. It's around the highway, and you know, the cool thing, California Highway Patrol. Good, I'm behaving. I hope that Lotus was behaving. So I'm on the highway, and you know, the thing about BMWs is that they're designed to be able to go on the Autobahn. Really good on the highway, really comfortable, very smooth, lots of power. So even, you know, at highway speeds, when you give it some gas, it can throw you back a bit. These cars are amazing touring cars. This is a perfect car for going on a road trip. I would love to go on a big road trip in this car. It'd be absolutely wonderful. So we're back on the surface streets, and I do have one complaint now. I've been driving a little bit longer, which is the shifts are a little bit slow. I mean, it's an automatic transmission, it's not a dual clutch, so you don't get those instant shifts that you do out of dual clutch. They're fast, to be fair. They're very fast shifts, but they're just a little bit sluggish. It's not horrible, and it's certainly nothing that you're going to complain about daily driving a car like this, but if you're actually performance driving it, you might kind of be like, I wish the shifts were just a little bit quicker. Also, to be fair, we did switch it back into like sport mode, regular sport mode, instead of Sports Plus. So I'm assuming it's probably just a little bit faster in Sport Plus. Again, not a terrible complaint. It's a, you know, we're trying to get nitpicky here since the car's so good. Let's find some little flaws here and there. This does have the auto start stop. All the new cars are going to have that. So once you're in comfort mode, it does stop when you're at a stoplight. Not a big deal if you're trying to save on economy and stuff, but it is kind of annoying. So another funny thing we just realized is, so there's a heads-up display on this car, and I'm wearing some polarized glasses, and I noticed that the HUD was gone. I'm like, where's the HUD? Well, apparently these polarized glasses make it so you really have a hard time seeing the HUD. It's almost totally disappears. Keep that in mind. If you want a heads-up display and you like polarized lenses, you may not be able to actually see it. Play right here. Well, as you can see, the 850i is actually quite impressive. It's an amazing Grand Touring car, very comfortable, a lot of power, a lot of torque, ridiculous amounts of torque. A little bit of turbo lag, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. You know, these modern cars, they have a good job on these turbos to make it so that they don't have the old turbo lag where you stomp the pedal and you can count to 3 and then it goes. Overall, very impressed with it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. So if you did, give me a thumbs up, like this video. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Those things do help my channel. So thank you very much for those of you that do that. Also, consider joining as a member if you're so inclined. Don't feel like you have to, but if you do, there's some extra perks. And again, I do appreciate that if you do. Plus, you get your name in the end credits. So yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, guys, we're going to be doing a lot of car stuff. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.